Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hunters of Outdoors, and today we're talking about, should you use jerry cans or Rotopax? So one of the great debates about either one of these fuel sources is, which one should you choose? Well, it's not as simple as you think. There could be budget costs, space concerns, all of those kinds of things, depending on what kind of rig you use, and of course, the duration of your trip from fuel stop to fuel stop, as well as how big your fuel tank is and how bad your fuel mileage is. Because let's face it, nobody has good fuel mileage in this space. Unless, like, I don't know, you drive a Subaru or something. And I have been using either or of these for quite a while now. I'm going to talk about some pros and cons of each and kind of what I'm doing at this current point in time, I guess. Let's start with a good old-fashioned jerry can. Now this is one by Spectre. It is a 20 liter or 5-gallon fuel tank holder thing. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a little while, you know that I have two of these guys, and these were sitting on the rear swing out of the Ram for the longest time, pretty much. And although that thing did get really good fuel mileage for what it was and how heavy that thing was, I always carried at least one of these full, but I'd have two for longer trips, and because, well, the holder carried two and it was just kind of flop around with one in there. So one of them usually had fuel in it, the other one was usually empty. Unless, of course, I was on a trip. Now, holding a lot of extra fuel is never really a bad thing. However, if I had like 5 of these things in the bed of like this Jeep, that would be a whole different story. 5 of these in the bed of the Ram, totally different thing. If you have like a swing out or a lot of bed space, it would be more feasible maybe for you to have a jerry can, because yeah, they take up a little bit more space, but the nice thing is you basically double your fuel capacity over like this particular Rotopax. I know they make a bunch of different ones, but this is kind of like the standard, I guess you could say. So I'm gonna use that as the example. Now, I have seen a lot of different people run jerry cans on like a roof rack. Personally, I'm not a fan of that just because that is a lot of extra weight up top, and I'm always against that. I always try to keep your center of gravity as low as possible. But I have had jerry cans just in the bed of a vehicle before I had to swing out on the Ram. That's basically what I did. I just kept these in the bed all the way up. Now, typically with a jerry can, you're also going to have some kind of like a fuel spout. My military guys, you'll know what this is, and please don't comment on what this is called. Which sometimes they're big and awkward like this, and I know in the Rotopax, they actually pack into the unit itself, so it's all kind of self-contained, which is pretty cool. And there are some of these jerry cans that will do so. So one downside of these guys is there's not a ton of great storage. Yeah, like I mentioned, they make, you know, holders for these on like roof racks, and swing outs is probably the most popular one I've seen. But if guys are going on very remote trips, or you just don't get good gas mileage and you need a lot of extra fuel, having like a couple of these is much better in my opinion over having more of those, for one big reason, and that is cost and space. I guess that's 2 reasons, but you get the point. I would rather carry less of these than more of these, and just be able to like put, if I had to have a swing out on this Jeep, put 2 of them on here, maybe like another 1 or 2 in the bed or something like that. Or if I had a full size, you know, I would just do what I did in the Ram and put them on the cab side of the bed and strap them down. I'm not sure if this is standard, but at least for, I know, these styles of ones, there are water jugs that are very similar to this. And one thing, so you do not confuse the two, is the fuel will always have 3 handles. The water ones will only have 1 in the middle, and I will show you that real quick. So there you go. Again, colors are different too, but you definitely don't want to get these two mixed up. If you're kind of into like the old school vibe, you know, of course these are used for military use and things like that. So these can also be a vibe if you have the right build for it. Again, if I was going to go on like some longer trips and, you know, I drive a Jeep, it's not very fuel efficient, I would probably carry a couple of these in the bed rather than like a bunch more Rotopax. Are you just trying to be like all the cool YouTubers and have things strapped to the outside of your vehicle? Well, this is the thing for you. Now, on a serious note, probably the biggest pro of a Rotopax is versatility and mounting options. I mean, they make mounts to put these things everywhere in a vehicle. You can put them in a bed, on a mully panel, you can put them on a swing out. One thing I'm looking into is they make a certain piece that goes on like the Jeep door hinges, so you can mount one of these there, kind of keeping, again, your fuel low and kind of center of the vehicle. And you can mount these on roof racks. There's a ton of different options. The only downside is though, is this is only 2.5 gallons, where the other one was 5 gallons. So by just carrying 2 of the jerry cans, I had 10 extra gallons of fuel versus, you know, I'd have to carry more of these, which again, they're a little bit slimmer in profile, but these things are not cheap, which is definitely another con on these. I know on Amazon you can get jerry cans for a pretty decent price, whether that be metal ones, plastic ones, whatever. I personally would rather go the plastic route other than the metal one, because I have had metal jerry cans that have rusted through. Just personal preference. One thing that is kind of neat, and I'm not going to go into like all the different Rotopax spec things, they do make a bunch of different sizes. Like I have a 3-gallon one that's a little bit bigger than this, and then they have the ability to like lock into one another, which is pretty cool. And they make ones of these that are just huge. I think they hold like 5 gallons, but again, for the space of that, you know, again, I'd probably rather carry a jerry can. Maybe that's an option if you like. I've seen 4Runners with them on swing outs, which is probably the best place to put that, I guess. I don't really like doing roof racks with these. I have done that in the past, but one thing you need to note is with any kind of fuel source, they get hot, they expand, they get cold, they contract. So when it's hot out, like when I was living in North Carolina, I would have to vent this thing every stinking day because of the temps that was in. And to make matters worse, it was on my roof rack. So I would have to get up on my roof rack, undo the clamp, lean it up, vent it, put it back on. You know, you get the gist. These definitely are sweet to have though, like I said. They make so many different mounting options, and I would like to get another one of these ones to put on some door hinges. I think in the front would be a really good place to that, because, you know, if you're running a mid-size, space is limited. Versus when I had the Ram 2500, like I could just throw crap in the bed of this thing and it didn't matter. So I could carry, you know, multiple jerry cans and not really worry about it. And if you have like a trailer or something, again, I've seen a lot of these mounted on like the sides of trailers, which is a really cool option. I've seen tray canopy systems where because of how slim these guys are, they can be mounted between the cab of the vehicle and the cab of the tray system, which is really cool. But again, for something like this, you're paying for it 100%. And I have seen some knockoffs on like Amazon and stuff. I personally have never used one of those, but probably does the same thing. So hopefully that answered some questions about whether you should use a jerry can or Rotopax. Really, I think it boils down to what's going to work best for your setup and, you know, how you overland. If you're not already, I'd appreciate a subscribe. Like is always appreciated. Post videos every Sunday. And until then, we'll catch you guys in the next one.